Just a quick follow-up on that statement that you read. It refers to the situation as a situation, a conflict, and an escalation. Do we agree at the White House that what we're witnessing between Israel and Lebanon right now is in fact war?
I'm not going to get into semantics from here. What we know and what we are seeing is that this cannot continue, and we want this to end, right? We want a peaceful solution here. I'm just not going to get into
I
semantics
guess I ask
right
because we've heard the president say, as he said multiple times this week, that he wants to avoid a full-scale war, an all-out war. He said it remains a possibility. That's why they're pursuing this diplomatic solution. But I guess just for our understanding of what an all-out war looks like versus what we're witnessing now.
I mean, look, I'm not going to get into, here's what we want to see. We want to see a 21-day ceasefire to give us the space to have that conversation so that we can have a negotiation to end this. That's what we want to see. And so we believe this gives us an opportunity to do this by calling for a 21-day ceasefire, to be more clear. And so it's important. It is intolerable what's happening. It cannot continue for both sides. It cannot continue. And so we're going to do everything in our power. The president has been very clear to get to that point. I think it was important. It was important to see a joint statement from the G7 and key Middle East partners. I think it was important to see that. You see countries coming together and seeing what's happening. The tensions need to stop. We need to get to a ceasefire. And so that is what we're trying to get to here. We're going to continue to have this discussion on getting to that 21-day ceasefire. That's continuing in New York, as you know. UNGA continues, right? Even though we're back here, and so our teams are there. They're having those discussions. They're doing these diplomatic conversations. You hear us talk about it all the time. Diplomatic resolution is key, and that's what we're trying to get to. And that's what I think you can see the type of movement that you've seen from this president, right? When he was at UNGA having conversations with other leaders, and now we've come to a place where we have put this forward, and this is what we believe. If we see this 21-day ceasefire, it gives us the space. It gives us the space to have that conversation. Okay.
Thank you, Doreen. I'm going to have another go at the ceasefire.
Sure.
So, the White House said that they don't want to see a wider war, and you wanted to see this 21-day ceasefire. But yesterday, a senior administration official described this proposal as a breakthrough. So
A breakthrough.
yeah. So what makes you believe that just the parties is listening to you when they did not listen to you over maybe 10 months, and the White House failed to secure a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas? The party changes now is Israel and Hezbollah as opposed to Israel and Hamas. Mm-hmm. So where do you get this optimism when the president always say we are 2 days away from securing the ceasefire, we're 3 days away, until now you're unable to secure a ceasefire and release U.S. hostages? So where is this optimism coming that both Hezbollah and Israel can listen to the White House?
So here's the thing. As I stated, our teams have been in discussion. The president certainly has been engaging our teams in particular with Israel and Lebanon throughout this week. And based on those conversations, right, we have had with Israel and Lebanon, and we have had with our partners as well, we felt comfortable in releasing this statement because of those ongoing dialogue, that diplomatic conversation, resolution that we're trying to get to, calling for a ceasefire. And it is up to the parties to respond. I mean, it is up to the parties to respond. But we felt comfortable in releasing that statement last night because we have been having those discussions with Lebanon and Israel. But to your point, it is up to the parties to respond. Now, we put out the statement, the joint statement last night. Conversations continue, discussions continue in New York. And so we're going to continue to move that way. But we have to do something, right? We have to continue to act, and diplomacy is the way to deal with what we have been seeing. Right?
Does the White House have leverage over either party so we don't go to a wider war?
We're trying to prevent a wider war. That is what we've been working towards for some time. And we have had these discussions with both Israel, with Lebanon, with our partners, and we felt comfortable enough to release the statement. We believe that diplomatic resolution is key here, And we can't stop. We got to continue to try, right? But it is up to our partners to respond. It truly is. But just because we release the statement, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't. So we're going to have diplomatic discussions as it's happening in New York. It doesn't stop from last night releasing this joint statement, and we'll see where we get. We see where we get to.
One last question: the number the people who've been killed in Lebanon is over 600 now, 2,000 wounded. Do you believe that these are legitimate target, including the number of the dead, also women and children? And do you believe that Israel still operate within international law?
Here's what I can say. We want to see the tensions end. We want to see a ceasefire. That is what it is not, it's what we're seeing right now, and this is in our statement, it is intolerable what's going on right now. It cannot continue, and it's not good for either side. It is just not. This is why we're trying to get to a diplomatic solution here. And you mentioned children and women. Nobody wants to see that. We don't want to see that. And so we're trying to get to a diplomatic solution. That's why we called for, we laid out a path, a call for a 21-day ceasefire. And that's why we're continuing to have these diplomatic solutions, right? Diplomatic conversations. We have to do this. We have to. That is the way out of this. And I know we have to wrap pretty soon. Go ahead.